Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the World Explorers podcast. It has been a while since we've last recorded, but we are back. And during the time where we had disappeared off the face of the planet, the new season of Dragon Prince came out, and obviously, we are going to talk about that, because we've talked about it on the channel before, and have been hyping it up, and now we need to rant about our disappointments.
Yeah, apparently the general consensus seems to be that this Season 4 was good. People seem to really like it.
Mainstream-wise, people, yeah.
I have some serious problems with this season.
Yeah.
I went in. Now, I want to just set the stage for you. I went in thinking, oh boy, this is Dragon Prince. We've had years and Season 3 has come out. Season 3 left on such a cliffhanger. Like Claudia reviving her father from the dead, and this crystal thing, this chrysalis thing, which I'm thinking, oh, Erebos is probably gonna come out of that.
Yeah.
It's like we had such long build up. Like, what's gonna happen? Season 3 left off with such a massive, it was so great. What are we getting? And then episode 1. We get exposition and 2-year time skip. Okay. Okay. Anyway, going further. 2-year time skip. Okay, I feel like I'm missing something, but go ahead. Then Claudia's like, it's like I've done so many unspeakable things and all this stuff.
I'm like, cool flashbacks, lots of flashbacks. Where were my flashbacks?
Yes, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, wait, we're not gonna see any of this. I feel like there was an entire story here that we're missing, and then it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a boyfriend now. I'm like, wait, what? You got a boyfriend? I feel like there was an entire character arc, an entire season that we missed. And then what else do we get? We get
okay, Isaac.
Saying, oh yeah,
Isaac,
yes.
Isaac, how about we just take a deep breath? Let's start with you're scaring away the viewers.
Okay.
Next, maybe we take this a bit more systematically, and we can start with the problems, and maybe start with the time jump being, since that is the first problem that occurs, and why this time jump? Because why this time jump, guys?
Yeah, I honestly don't know why they felt the need
to
give this time jump of 2 years, and then all of this stuff happened that honestly sounds like it would have made for a much more interesting story than what we were given.
I think my biggest issue with the time jump was that 2 of the main characters' entire character growth for this entire season already happened during the time jump, and we had no flashbacks of it, which are Rayla and Cassandra's. They were both both of them had these drastic things. One of them did unspeakable horrors to revive her dad off the dead and got a boyfriend in the process. And then Rayla apparently had this new desire for revenge that maybe I missed it in Season 3, and I'm totally up for having missed it. My friend told me that it was hinted at, so I'm going to accept that it was, and I just missed it. Which
I have more to say about that, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah.
Something comes up in a later episode that...
And then she's like, she literally says in the first episode online, is like, I've overcome my desire for revenge and realized that the most important thing in my life is you, Callum. And I'm like, oh, we're skipping that? What?
The entire off-screen arc affects nothing. The entire point of this off-screen arc, I think, was just so that Rayla and Callum could be separated. Because they just... I'm pretty sure these writers are just allergic to writing characters in healthy relationships.
They really are. But at the same time, they're absolute trash at writing characters in bad relationships, too. They can't... See, this is the thing. So this is the Avatar writers, right? And I always said, everything about Avatar was great except for one thing, and that's, any of their love relationships were always a bit awkward, in my opinion. And now, this series seems to be so focused on, the love relationships that it's just trash now. Because they're focusing now on the one part of Avatar that was bad for them, in their character growths. And I'm like, well, can't can't we have another Avatar-style adventure where it's less about romance and just about having fun? Please.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Legend of Korra had. I personally, I think the Legend of Korra was really bad when it came to relationships. Like, it was like everyone needed to date everyone
And
for
that's,
some reason.
guys, in real life, that's not the case. At least not in my experience and not in my friends' experience. We all have, like, other girls and other guys that we just hang with. We just enjoy their company. We don't go about thinking, oh, I'm going to date every person I meet. It's not realistic. It's also not healthy. So if you're struggling with that, therapy? Maybe talk to someone about it. I don't know. Sorry, I got really negative.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these writers are just really bad at writing relationships.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with this.
They need to stop.
And so when and maybe they know this, and that's why they had Callum and Rayla break up.
But like,
because like I thought that their dynamic was actually pretty good. I know that you didn't really like them, and you didn't think that they worked.
No, I
well
just
for each other,
I just don't like how they dumped, because how they're handling, like, how they're using it, how they were using Callum and Rayla as a, oops, actually we don't want Callum to have any relationship with Cassandra, even though that's a very interesting dynamic and I think would, move the plot forward in a lot of different ways. And this season,
Cassandra?
Not Cassandra, what is it?
Claudia.
I don't know why I was saying like that. There's another show where that's the main character's name that I was watching, and that's why. I was thinking Tangled. I've been watching Tangled. Tangled's actually good, and the character who has, like, the complicated, who's very similar to Claudia in that show is Cassandra, and that's why I was saying her name. I was getting them switched.
Ah.
That's what is happening there. I apologize. Claudia! If you want to see Claudia done right, watch Tangled.
I mean, I didn't think that Claudia was done badly.
No,
for the fact
she's
that,
still
again,
my favorite character.
We missed an entire arc!
I'm so annoyed. And maybe it's because, like, Claudia is my favorite character, and so any Claudia time I can get, it's a good time. So I'm just upset that we missed all that. Also, like, how the heck did she land herself, like, a goody tissue boyfriend like that? While doing supposedly horrifying things. Like, to the point where he would kill for her.
Yeah, I want to... Again, this is where we needed, like, the full other season. I think that maybe it could have been better if we had gotten to see some of that. And maybe what's happening is they meet, and then Claudia starts explaining to him about Erebos, and maybe it's a situation of her boyfriend. I cannot remember his name. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot remember his name, but maybe he has been questioning some things about. I'm trying to think. I'm also struggling to think.
He's such a nice guy, and so there's no reason for him to be like, me into Claudia, me kill for her, and I'm just I can see it happening. I could see how he could turn into that, but I don't have their relationship. Like, I don't have the beginning of their relationship. I don't understand something clearly had to happen between those two to get to that point. And the fact that I don't know what it is made that moment of him killing, which was supposed to be a very big moment in the series, a lot less impactful than it should have been.
Claudia here's the thing. When you're not... Claudia, in a way, is actually a very nice person.
Yeah,
she can be
wonderful.
Very friendly, very social.
I think she's nicer than Rayla.
I think she is. But the thing is, what makes her more evil, quote unquote, is that the fact that she's willing to do a bunch of evil things for what she believes is right. Because she's got extreme loyalty to her father, and so she's willing to do whatever it takes to please him. And then when it came to with that loyalty, then translates into bring him back from the dead, and then that the loyalty of bringing back from the dead translates to do whatever Erebos says, which translates into all these unspeakably awful, horrible things that we don't get to say, and so she's doing all of these evil deeds, but it's for a cause that she believes is good, and so if she can convince her boyfriend that these things are good, then we could see how he'd be willing to do something as horrible as killing for her. Maybe there was even a time where Claudia killed for him, because I could definitely see Claudia doing it. I mean, Claudia did things like she took the life of a baby deer to save Soren, and to give him his mobility back. And these are all things that I think could work really, really well. The problem is we don't get to see any of it.
Yeah, I think that's what I don't normally mind 2-year jump gap things like this. I think they could be very interesting. But a thing that makes these work is this little thing called flashbacks. Yeah? Yeah, we remember Like, if you're gonna do this, I need flashbacks. And the only flashback we got was of Eros's like backstory, and to be honest, I get like it was for the characters, but us as an audience did not need that flashback. We already knew this. We learned absolutely nothing new. He's the guy behind all of the struggle and like likes to whisper to powerful people, and I'm like, yeah, you spent 3 seasons showing that to us. Now you're making us feel stupid, like, oh, you didn't actually get it from 3 seasons, so let me just tell it to you. I'm like, I'm pretty sure all of us got that. I haven't met someone who didn't get that from the 3 seasons of you showing it very beautifully, I must say, to us.
They did such a good job. The entire time, I'm watching season 3, I'm thinking, this is Dragon Prince, this is epic. And through those 3 seasons, and then season 4 comes along, and episode 1, I'm sitting there going, "What was that?"
I mean, there was flossing happening.
Yes, I'm sitting there going, "This is Dragon Prince. This is epic." And then Soren's like, "Oh, there's this new dance that all the."
I'm like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Don't floss, and then he flossed, and they didn't just have him floss once. No, they did it twice, and they had these kids flossing. I'm like, no, stop it. It's not cool. You've dated the show, please. Like,
yeah. I mean, can we talk about, like, the birthday party? So, like, Soren's up and happy, and honestly, rightfully so, and he talks about how Rayla girl, I get you want revenge and stuff, but why the heck would you break up with Soren and leave him on his birthday? Like, that's like a whole, Callum, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get all the characters mixed up. Leave Callum on his birthday. Like, that is a move that, in my opinion, deserves all the anger. To ruin someone's birthday like that, and like birthdays for all future years, is just horrible.
It feels like they made her leave him on his birthday just so that they could have that increased impact. It's just to make it hurt a little more without it actually having, without it feeling like it would realistically happen. Like, now here's the thing. If maybe, this is again where we need to see what was happening, but if they had made it so that, there was an episode where it is Callum's birthday, but maybe for the past several episodes, Rayla's been thinking about revenge and wanting to go after Claudia, and it keeps on building up more and more as the episodes go on. And then it's very distracting, and she seems so focused on revenge during Callum's birthday, and she's not hanging out with him. Maybe she's sort of neglecting him, pushing him off the side, because priority 1 is she's trying to maybe put together some sort of puzzle or some maps that she had, or some information she gathered to try and find where Claudia is. And because she's pushing Callum off to the side, he feels a little hurt by this. He goes and he talks to her, and then she's like, "Oh, I'd love to hang out with you. I'm going to hang out with you, I promise. But I really got to figure out where Claudia is." It's like, he could be like, "No, you're really like, this is my birthday, and I wanted to spend it with you, and you're just not hanging out with me." And she's like, "Oh, well," things just keep escalating from there. And then it gets to a point where they break up, and she leaves, and she just goes off and search for Claudia. Like, that seems to me like a realistic reason as to why she would break up on his birthday. But again, the problem is, I'm not supposed to be coming up with this. This is the writer's job, not my job to fix the problems.
Okay, well, let's talk about how, I want to move on to how this series, right? This whole thing is that it's Erebos' season, right? So, out of curiosity, why is this the season where we've had the least amount of him? He had 1 scene. The entire season!
This is the mystery of Erebos, and We see
One
less
scene.
of Erebos here than we did any other season.
We have one scene. Okay, and this scene. Alright, this is the scene where he possesses Callum. Like, this should be, like, the big overarching fear thing problem of the season, right? We just realized Erebos can freaking possess Callum because he's done dark magic, once? Like, that's scary. That's terrifying. Honestly, it was the most epic scene in the entire series. I was like, Erebos came on, and, like, it's the only good thing in the show. I'm like, this is cool. We now have this cool arc thing. We're gonna watch Callum struggle with his magic again, because one of my complaints about Season 3 was that Callum wasn't struggling enough. Then we get to it. Callum stands over the edge with his little magic box and says, maybe I shouldn't do magic, because he can now possess me. And then he looks at me and says, nah, I'm gonna keep doing magic. And then that's it. No more character growth. It ends. We don't see the struggle anymore. And I'm like, I'm sorry? Again? You're doing this to me twice? Why can't Callum just have a freaking character arc? It's not that hard, guys. He's supposed to be one of the main characters.
I mean, he's supposed to be, like, the main character. Like,
No,
he's
he's
the center
not.
focus of the entire show. Like,
Oh my gosh, he's so dull. He's so boring. I always said he was, like, the most boring, but I always thought it was, like, Harry Potter level boring, where it's like, he's the main character, he's supposed to be much relatable, whatever. But now he's just, like, a blank piece of paper.
you can write main characters. Here's the thing. A lot of the time, writers seem to struggle with main characters
But not to this
because
level.
they're supposed to be the most, I guess, generalized sorts of characters in terms of their development and their struggles.
You know, it's the whole thing. Harry Potter is no one's favorite character. Because he's supposed to just... But he's everyone's, like, most relatable character.
Yeah, the main character is almost never the favorite character.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But there are instances of main characters that are done really, really well. And you know who wrote a main character that was done really, really well? The people who wrote Dragon Prince. His name is Aang.
But I do want to know...
Why can't they do it again?
I do want to know is that, like, Aang is a Harry Potter version main character, though. Just saying.
Yes, but he's really, really
But
well
we all
done
like
anyway.
him. Yeah, I don't like... Callum's boring to me. I'm not interested when Callum's on the screen. I'm like, let's go to, like, Claudia, or literally, or even Callum. or Soren. Even Soren. Like, I don't know why I get Callum and Soren mixed up, but I do. Or even Soren's more interesting than Callum this season. Right? Can we, like, agree on that? And he's over there flossing.
Yes.
So-
Speaking of Soren.
Oh, there's a
later
scene
on,
that didn't happen.
What?
There is a scene that we didn't get that I am so mad about. Like, this is my
Yes.
biggest complaint, right? Here, I'm gonna walk it up to people so you all know what I'm talking about. Soren had kidnapped Claudia. He has her tied up. Claudia's boyfriend comes in, who none of us can remember his name, frees her. It's kind of epic, kind of cute. And she's like, yeah, our dad's still alive. He's now kind of tied up. He looks around. The dad comes in. Soren screams, no. The dad... Okay, so here's the arc of the dad, which I think is very interesting, but we, again, did not get much time with it, which I'm kind of disappointed. His whole thing is, he's getting to the point where, like, he's got a limited time amount to live, and he's realizing, honestly, all he wants to do is spend that time with Claudia. He doesn't even care if he dies by the end of it, but he's going to spend as much time with Claudia as he wants. It's a cute character arc. I'm really into it. But he's like, Claudia, let's just explore the world, have a nice time. But Claudia is so focused on keeping him alive, and he realizes the only way he's going to get to spend time with his daughter in his last days is if he helps make himself live for, you know, the spell permanent by, you know, helping free. So he's like, okay, I'll go along for Claudia, because I want to spend time with her. It's a cool transition. It needed more time, but honestly, I like the arc. So he's having all of this turmoil, right? And he walks in, and now he's seeing his son. The other person who he's royally screwed over in life. Totally messed this poor kid up. And this person, his son, now looks at you, and his first reaction when he sees you is absolute disappointment that you're not dead. And then it cuts to black, and the next thing we know, we're in the dragon cave, and we don't get to the scene what happened next. I'm like, I'm sorry?
This was going to be a massive moment. This is a conversation we need to see.
Yeah, I was so excited.
This is the entirety of season 4. It's just conversations and arcs and scenes that we don't get to see. That's the entirety of season 4. It's just all of this stuff happening off screen, and it's the most interesting stuff.
Yeah, I literally, when that happened, I like shouted no. I stopped watching. I put up like I paused the show and I had to walk away. I was like, no way they didn't do this to me. No way are they not. Like, this is the thing I've been looking forward to the most while I was watching the series. Because again, I think Soren and, oh my goodness, what's his name? What's the dad's name? Help.
Viren.
Thank you. Their names are hard, guys. Soren and Viren. I think they, in the show, are two of the people who are having the most interesting character arcs. Like, actually slightly developed character arcs in the show. They just are. They're the two that are. So I was, like, really excited to see these two come together. And, like, because their dynamics, like, it's just, it was so important that we saw this. For them. For us. For the viewers. And I'm not the only one who's mad. I have other friends who watched it, and I was talking to them about it. And their first thing, like, why didn't we get this scene? Where's this scene? Someone give it, like, this isn't a scene you just skip. This is like an, I don't know, it's like in Harry Potter, and you skip out a scene of him killing Voldemort. Like, you just don't do that. You don't do that. Yeah. Like, that's what it is. Like, one of the times he killed Voldemort, he actually did it off screen and we never saw it. Like, that's what they did to us. And I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, it's constant throughout this entire season. Like, there's just so much where it's like, we were supposed to, there's all this off-screen development, off-screen conversations, off-screen arcs that we just don't get to see.
It became...
Like, what was the thought process there?
Yeah, like, why, you know,
Are
the
they
number...
trying to shroud everything in mystery?
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to shroud everything in mystery, but they don't understand that mystery is meant to be slowly answered. Like, where they need to give us answers over time. They can't just say, oh, look, it's mysterious, and then leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's not, no. If you're going to introduce the mystery, you gotta give us some answers, even if it's over time. Over time can work really well to help build tension. As
Flashbacks.
You feel like there's some
All I want is flashbacks. Literally.
Yeah, flashbacks.
They could have done this, and if Claudia had flashbacks throughout the entire series, I'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or Rayla. I need Claudia and Rayla to have their flashbacks about their character growth, so we could still see it, but we could still have, like, this modern progression of the story. Because I get... part of the reason I think this is because Callum, Soren, Ezrin, like, their character growth wasn't going to happen in those 2 years. Like, they needed the 2 years of just, like, stalementation, and stuff. Like, that's what happened. And that means that we now have this thing where some characters are ahead in their arc than others are. And that's okay. That's what flashbacks are for. So we can still see these characters who seem to be a lot more mature, see how they got to that maturity level, while also watching the rest of the group catch up. And all while, like, the present day dynamic is going on. Also, like, Ezrin has no character arc either. He's just a really good king. Like, the whole thing of the first 3 seasons is he's really young, and he's nervous, and he doesn't think he could be as good as his father. And this season, he's just so confident about it. Like, I'm a great king, I know what I'm doing, and he's right, which is a little annoying. Like, I think he's almost getting too cocky, and I'm hoping they knock him down a peg or two. Like, he needs to be,
okay, I gotta say something about Ezrin. So, one of the first things, like, the first thing we see him doing as king is he's holding this meeting, and it is just the most least serious meeting.
Yeah, like, this is
ever.
not how
Like,
kingdoms
they're
work.
prioritizing jelly tarts on the agenda and titles of the jelly tart chef. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I'm looking at this like, okay, you are the king. You are running a country. Surely there is something more important on the agenda than a jelly tart title. And then they do get to something a little more important, which is the visitation of the Dragon Queen. But even then, I'm looking like, it's so unserious. Now, I expect unseriousness from Ezrin. He's still a kid.
Yeah.
But he still feels just as unserious as he did 2 years ago. I'm thinking by now, if there was any off-screen development that should have occurred, it's probably his.
Yeah. Like, and he's just like, he's the confident child king who knows what he's doing. And I'm just sitting here going, what are we trying to say? Like, that kids are mature enough to make life-changing decisions? because I disagree. But like, is that
altering decisions?
Yeah, like, is that the message? Are we trying to empower children? Because they're still children.
Him making some mistakes. We have them implying
he never made a mistake.
That bringing the Dragon Queen over is a mistake. They mentioned that, like, hey, this could be a problem. People aren't uncomfortable around the dragon. And then it all goes perfectly fine. Like, things go wrong in terms of how the humans might be, like, treating the queen and everything. Like their performance goes wrong. But the humans themselves, the people, don't have a problem with the Dragon Queen. They have a problem with, like, the elves and stuff. That's a whole other thing with, like, the elves and the burning of the one person's hands.
That was actually really interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I was into that. That was a good. Let's get the show credit where they are. That, like, whole dynamic and, like, the council meeting and, like, the respecting. That was it's very topical for one thing, which I respect. It was handled extremely well, and I enjoyed it, and it was interesting. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so we got this other area where it's like, oh, humans and elves coming together, that's a problem and everything, and that was handled well, but it seemed like they were hinting that there would be a problem with the Dragon Queen, and there was no problem, there was no comment. No, everything is just hunky-dory, and everyone just loves the Dragon Queen except for the one guy that defaced the painting, which causes no serious conflict. It's just, oh no, something's going wrong. Oh no, we're fine. Oh no, something else is going on. Oh no, we're fine. Oh, the jelly jar exploded, but we're fine.
Guys, fun fact, speeches are great and all, but if you could just look at our political world today, speeches don't fix anything. They do absolutely nothing.
Oh, they rile people up.
They do. They don't. Yeah, I'm like, speeches are not the fix-all. You need action and stuff, and yeah, and, like, I get it. His speeches were pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there were some well-written speeches in that show, like, and things. But at the same time, there's just so much tell in the show. Like, there was so much tell in this season. Like, everything was told to us.
That speech, I have a problem with that speech, and it's not so much the speech itself, but it's what's going on during that speech. And it was the battle between Claudia and the one mage. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, because that was a very dramatic scene. Honestly, it felt
so off to have them going at the same time.
No, I thought it was pretty powerful. Weird. I don't know. I liked it. Like, I liked how that was done. Personally, like, I felt the if anything, I felt the death more because of the speech over it and the whole thing. Like I said, I think the most dramatic scene, there's 2 dramatic scenes in the show for me, which I think should have been upped more, and one was Claudia's boyfriend's first kill. And then the second was
definitely, yeah.
Like, that was, honestly though, I felt that even more than, like, Callum getting possessed. Just because there was the speech, and there was, like, it was very upped and dramatized in a way, and I found it very engaging and, like, I don't want to say enjoyable because it made me uncomfortable, though it was supposed to. Like, it was an discomfort, and, like, I don't know, it was definitely highlighting what the speech was saying, and I was listening to the speech more and, like, connecting. I think it was very powerful, personally.
I think it might have been. It might just be me, but I personally found it distracting.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt it increased the power of it, but
I think that was definitely what they were going for, and I think it worked on you. It didn't work on me. Again, I found it distracting.
I think we need, like, a more poll, like, more people's thoughts on that scene in order to, like, get a generalized effect.
I bet that most people probably did enjoy it. Just for me personally,
I mean, enjoy is the wrong word.
It was distracting. Thought it was impactful. We're impacted by it. I thought it was a powerful scene. Where it worked
I thought it was, like, the most powerful scene in the series.
It might have been, and I could just be weird, and
I don't know, maybe you need to rewatch it. Just give it another go.
Maybe.
Maybe feel. Although at the same time, you've seen the rest of the season, and you know it's a
season.
No, you don't have to. Just find the clip. Just find the clip.
2. I don't remember which one it was.
But I think the problem is you now know, like, that this actually doesn't occur. Nothing comes from this. So, like, he has, like, a moment with, like, the dad, which was okay. And then it was kind of, again, it's a lot of, like, you struggle, you have a chat, and then you're over it. Which is not how struggles work.
No, it's not, like, I mean, I think that, I really, here's, like, I'll give the show credit for this. I did really like Viren and Claudia's boyfriend's dynamic.
It was cute.
They play off each other so well.
No, like I said, I liked him as a character. I just want to know how he got here. That's all.
That part was really.
There were the jokes sometimes went too long, but at the same time, like it was kind of
fart jokes.
They could chill.
I'll give them credit for this. They're some of the best fart jokes that I've ever heard.
But there were too many. They could chill. Take a chill pill on the joke.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like, but at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, this is Dragon Prince. This is season 4. This is the mystery of Erebos.
Why are we talking about how Elle's farts smell?
Fart jokes and flossing.
Yeah.
That's what I was given.
Yeah.
No, where's the epic battle? Where's the epic story? Where's Erebos?
Where's Erebos? And like in general, where'd he go? He morphed into a weird bug creature. That's what happened.
Like that's what we thought. I'm pretty sure everybody thought that was Erebos.
No, I'm okay with it not being. I'm okay.
Told pretty early on. Oh no, that's not Erebos. And I'm like, what? It's not. Well, then who the heck is it? It's this weird bug thing that pukes in their face that I'm pretty sure mostly just existed to help as this very slow, inefficient map that Erebos probably could have given them a more efficient way of finding the dragon and everything. But,
yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the main reason it exists is so that they could have goop so that they could copy a map on a dragon's tooth. Like, is that the reason the bug exists? Is so that they could eventually get some goop?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's what it feels like.
This season, honestly, despite having 2 years, it definitely does not feel like it was planned as part of, like, the original plan. Like, they made some changes. And I have, like, the perfect evidence of this. And that's the fact, if we go back to the Sun Elf Queen, she now has a brother. Now, this is a person who watched her sister get murdered and her entire nation shatter around her, and not once mentioned the fact, oh, I have a brother, maybe I should check on him to make sure he's not also dead. He is so, like, added this season. Mind you, he's one of the best additions of the season and adds some interesting... I'm telling you, I loved the camp. Like, every time the camp scene came on, I was instantly engaged because I felt like there was actual character growth and actual tension and, like, interest. Like, I don't know. It's really weird because normally I'm not into, like, the more politicized parts of a TV show, but in Dragon Prince, for some reason, season 4, that was the best part about the series, and that probably says how bad it was. When the politicalized stuff was the best part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I did think that the whole camp scene and everything was actually
handled
pretty well, and it was interesting. And the woman who extinguished the fire, like you can tell, like she was definitely in the wrong there. And
yeah, but like at the same time, you could see why she did it. Like,
yeah, you can see why she did it.
Yeah. But it was still wrong. Like, I agree.
Only say what she's doing is
wrong. And then they had a meeting.
She has.
And then they came up with a good compromise.
She had a better arc than, like,
She had a better arc than the main characters!
Because we actually see her arc.
We did! And it wasn't told to us. We saw it in, like, her crying and her realizing how wrong she was. And actually, it clicking, oh, I did a horrible thing. I should be punished. Oh, but they had mercy on me, and now they want me to build this, and then now actually betterment everyone in the tent and society, and now we're both happy. I'm like, yeah, great, applaud, good arc. Let's go back to the main character. You know what? No, actually, let's just stay in the tent. I don't want to go back there. That's kind of boring. I'm like lost interest in like the whole. I think the whole thing. So the way like I could summarize this show, right, is. You guys can enter season 5 without having watched season 4 because everyone is in the exact same place they are at the end of season 3.
Pretty much.
Here's the thing. Like we have Callum and Rayla have just officially gotten back together. End of season 3. That's exactly what happened. They just got together for the first time. Soren is like more confirmed in that his sister and dad is evil. Yeah, that's where he was at already. Claudia is just helping her dad to free this guy. We were already there. Yep, that hasn't changed. Oh my gosh, Ezrin is exactly the same, only 2 years older. No change. It was kind of sad. The dragon also doesn't have much of a change. He's still just a little dragon. Overprotective mom now.
He's
Sure.
a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that's not character growth. That's just growth.
Yeah. Well, his character literally grew.
Plot-wise,
Physically.
exact same position.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nothing happened. We just went on a giant side quest. So you know what would have been more interesting for plot digression? Going on a journey with Rayla and Claudia. That's what I wanted to see.
Yes.
I want that. You know what? This season we can pretend it doesn't exist. I'm okay with it. We'll just put it in a trash can. It never existed, never happened. Give me the season where it's just Claudia's on this quest to save her dad, and she's like gathering these dark things, and she meets this guy who's really sweet, and they like balance each other, and it's cute. And then Rayla is hunting them and following them and struggling and dealing with her own emotions for Callum and stuff. Meanwhile, we'll have like little flashbacks to the castle of Callum discovering the mirror and being confused and like transfixed by it, and for some reason never staring at it in the dark. And then we could have Ezran like making policies and like learning more and struggling, and that'd be like the side plot, kind of like the tent thing was the side plot for this season. We have that as the side plot, Callum and Ezran and Soren. They're the little side plot, and then the main plot is Claudia and Rayla, and then eventually Claudia's boyfriend. And I guarantee I would have loved it.
I want a spin-off series. If they were afraid to make those episodes because it would take too much focus away from Callum,
I want it.
Okay, let's
Dump
make a
Callum.
spin-off series.
I'm over Callum.
Let's make a spin-off series, and it will be all about Claudia and Rayla.
Yes.
I would be a-okay with an entire spin-off series about these two, where it's basically the lost season, and it's just her.
You could even call it that.
Plot.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
call it the lost season of Dragon Prince.
That's what it is.
It is. I'm up for it. Let's go.
The plot of the story is Rayla trying to hunt down Claudia the whole time. You're going to have a lot of close encounters, but they come very close to getting to each other, but they don't quite get there. Maybe
you can have
Claudia
interactions.
Be aware of Rayla the whole time.
Yeah, and they could interact a little. Like, there could be a few,
Rayla, she failed. She didn't find her.
Yeah, but like she might have just said that, but in reality she was never. Maybe there was like even a thing where she couldn't stop her, like she couldn't, because her whole thing is she can't kill. So that's a moment, and because she just says she failed. We don't know, she could have lied.
She actually said she didn't find her.
Yeah, but
it all depends on what she said.
Yeah, but at the same time, yeah, Rayla might lie about it, like because this is something she's embarrassed about, and that would add to her character development if she lied about it.
That would actually work.
I would like it. I want her, and then
sense.
And then that's
not what we do.
Yeah, and then that's actually
makes sense.
Yeah, and then her ability not to kill or stop her is the reason she goes back to Callum. Because maybe she realizes, you know what, I'm not put up for this. I can't do this, and that's okay. I'm going to go back to what's actually important, and that's spending time with Callum.
Yeah, perhaps she realizes that she's been kind of awful.
Just a lot. Terrible person. Elf. Whatever it is.
And speaking of this revenge plot, this is something I was wanting to get to earlier, but I said we'll wait. So... you remember that scene where she's got her sword at her boyfriend's throat and everything? Okay, now, this is the scene where she has finally found Claudia after 2 years of searching for her on a revenge plot. Now, I get that she said, oh, I don't care about revenge anymore and everything.
That's a lie.
But do you not think that when Claudia is suddenly in front of her face... that suddenly those emotions are going to come flooding back.
Because totally.
And she gets over there. She's got her boyfriend, like, a knife to his throat. I'm expecting pure fury and rage coming from Rayla. And she's very calm and just like, oh, he seems important to you. Like,
no!
At this point, I feel like she should be ready to kill him. Like, actually ready to kill him. This could be the moment where maybe even she starts pressing her blade to his throat, and we see a little trickle of blood.
Little
like,
blood.
This is getting serious. Like, we actually feel like she could kill him here.
And that's why the parents came out. Because, like, at no point did I feel like...
throws the coins.
I didn't think there was any point where, like, Claudia needed to throw the coins. Also, like... out of curiosity, like, where does Claudia's boyfriend, like, line on, like, true evil stands? Like, oh, you throwing those coins. Now that was really evil. I'm like, dude, you supposedly, like, went through the horrors of life with her. What? This is where you draw the line? Is her throwing fake coins? Like, she didn't even actually throw her parents. Like, her parents weren't gonna die.
Just a few rocks.
She threw fake ones. If anything, I'm like, that's kind of merciful. If she missed and they fell in the lava, Claudia would have killed 3 people. Just say it. Like,
I was actually thinking about that when she threw the coins, like the actual real coins, when she had a change of heart. I'm thinking, you came pretty darn close to tossing it in the lava there.
Yeah. Yeah, but then, you know, I think that could have just been reworded better, where he's like, he looks at her and he's like, I think you should give her the actual coins. And that's great for his character growth, more so than even Claudia's. I mean, it's good for hers too. Because I liked that she threw back the coins. Because again, this show has this weird dynamic. I don't think they, like, play with it enough as much as they should. Where I watch the show and I honestly think Claudia is a better person than Rayla is. And I wish they would play on it more. Because I think it's the most intriguing part about the show.
Like, the thing about Claudia is that she's always willing to do literally anything, whatever it takes, so long as it is helping those around her. Because it's whatever because she cares so deeply about those around her and does what she believes is right, so long as she's putting her friends and family first. Whether that's killing a baby deer to give Soren his agility back, whether it's doing all these unspeakably awful things, whatever they may be, to bring Viren back from the dead, or whatever it is for Callum, even when they were together.
Yeah, like, she's not a bad person. She really isn't. And it's one of the best, it's why she's my favorite character, is because she's not a villain. And that's one of the things I loved about Dragon Prince, was that no one felt like
Viren. She's just a very confused villain.
Yeah, like, Viren never felt like a true villain. Claudia never felt like a true villain. Soren definitely never felt like any much of a villain. He just... Soren is Soren.
Soren was always a good guy. He was always questioning what they're doing.
Yeah,
Claudia was the one doing it without questioning, because she just because of her loyalty to her father, thinking, I'll do whatever it takes to make him happy.
Yeah, and it's like, she's just so intriguing. But I wanna talk about, like, one thing about, oh my gosh, about Viren. So this is something that, I have friends who get panic attacks. So Viren had, like, this whole, like, panic attack thing. And I can't tell you, like, the ones who I've talked to who actually go through that and struggle with that, how absolutely upset and, like, annoyed they were when he just got over it so quickly. Like, he's struggling with this thing for, like, what, the second episode when they're climbing, is that the second episode where they climb the hill? Third episode?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he struggles with it then, and then, like, throughout it, he just doesn't want to touch his staff. He doesn't want to do magic. End of the season, we have no, like, gradual grow. That's it. That's kind of just where we are. He doesn't want to touch his staff. End of the season, he sees his staff on the floor, he picks it up, and suddenly he's all hunky-dory. And they were, like, really annoyed, because they were all enjoying, like, this aspect, getting to see, like, someone struggling with panic attacks, because, you know, he fell off a freaking mountain. I'd have panic attacks. And, like, getting to see that dynamic, and then it to just be cut off after episode 2, and then, like, be resolved in episode... It's this thing where they're like, a problem is just, we show a problem, they struggle with it for a moment, then they, like, have some resolve, get over it, and then it never comes up again. And that's not how emotions work, that's not how people work, that's not how problems work. They are constant, they're always there. Callum needed, this entire season, Callum needs to be struggling with, should he use magic, because he knows if he keeps using his magic, then he could be possessed. That's a big thing. It should have been longer than 2 seconds. That's huge. That's like that's it. That's his growth this season. And it wasn't played up. Rayla should have been struggling with revenge during the season. She should have had that impactful moment at the end that she didn't. Viren should be, you know, struggling with, you know, I died. And now I want to spend time with my daughter. And now I want to have an interaction with my son. And we should have had that conversation. Look, if I could have anything, I just want that scene. Like, so bad. It's probably the most important scene missing, and I'm so annoyed still. You know, like, it's just all these little things. They all struggle with something in a moment, and then it just goes away. And it's just frustrating to watch, because it means they're no longer relatable, because what we're seeing are characters who are quote unquote perfect. They face a difficulty, they face it, they instantly solve it, and they move on with lives. And nobody can relate to a perfect character because nobody's perfect.
This is a smaller gripe that I have with this show, and it's not totally terrible, but I feel like it's worth mentioning. So, Callum and his magic. So, in the first 3 seasons, whenever he used magic, he had a very limited set of spells that he knew, and that the audience, and more importantly, that the audience knew.
Yeah.
They understood how they worked, and anytime he used a spell to solve a problem, it was a tool in his belt, and it was very clever every time we saw him using it. When he uses Aspero to make his scent travel through the air past the blind dragon. Like, when they're doing that sort of thing, like, that is clever use of the magic.
Yeah.
But now that we've had this time skip of 2 years, and he's had all this time to learn these different spells, now what was essentially a hard magic system for Callum has become a soft magic system. Now, the entire magic system was already pretty soft as a whole, but in terms of what Callum knew, it was a hard magic system. And now it's much more soft because the magic could do literally anything in the moment that he needs, because he's had 2 years to study magic and we don't know what he can do. And so now every time he uses a spell, it's not as clever. It doesn't feel as clever. It feels like the writer said, yeah, you might as well be able to do this.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what he can do anymore. This is a smaller gripe. This isn't like a show-ruining element or anything, but it's something that it's just a smaller disappointment that I had.
Again, if we had the missing seasons, I feel like that would have been easily solved, because, again, I say the boys are the side plot and the girls are the stars of the show, and I think we would have gotten all of that. And I don't, part of me is like wondering if this actually happens, like that's why the show's not so great, because they had it and then they decided to chop it last minute and they just sewed up what's happening now. Like,
it took so long. Maybe they wrote the entire season, decided they didn't like it, scrapped it, made an entirely new season, and then that's why we're missing this whole other season. It's just because they wrote it, decided they didn't like it, and just continued on with what would have been season 5.
Yeah, and
is that why it took so long for us to get this season? And is that why the season ended up being as bad as it was?
I don't know. I'm very confused about it, because to me it makes it, to me, like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's so easy to fix it. Just spend some freaking time with your characters. Because, like, overall, like, the plot of the season was fine. Like, I didn't mind the plot, like, what they did, like, the whole drive. Like, it felt very side questy, but I also was like, I'm okay with this as, like, being the background of what's happening. But it was an okay plot, which means you need great character growth to, like, balance it. So the fact that there was no character growth, or if anything, I feel like characters might have gone backwards, if anything, then, you know, now some are more flat than they were in the end of season 3, then obviously I'm going to look at this very dull storyline, or okay storyline, and be like, well, now it's not. Because the whole thing, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, season 1 and 2 with Dragon Prince were great. I love season 1 and 2. Season 3, I could see, like, character development slipping. I have a video literally about it where we talk about Dragon Prince. It's on this channel, and we're talking about it. I think it's, like, theorizing about season 4. But I talk about how I could see, like, character growth dying down at the end of season 3. But the thing about season 3 is that it had a really amazing plot and world.
It was epic. It was
so so the plot was so grand and great that I could forgive that the characters were okay. Like, I get it. This is a really big story. They wanted time to focus on the stories, and I'm like, that's fine. We'll focus on the characters more season 4. But now we don't have that grand plot, and the characters are just as flat as they were in season 3, if not more so. So I'm going to notice it more. I'm going to be even more disappointed. And as someone who actually noticed it in season 3, I'm like, I feel even worse about it because I foretold it and I didn't. I have evidence. It's recorded. I have recorded proof that I foretold this might happen, and now it has, and now I'm like even sadder because I've jinxed it for everyone. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this entire thing, it's just
It's sad.
so disappointing. Like, again, this is Dragon Prince. Like, we had that third season with this epic plot, and we had all this character development.
The first
I'm
two
going in
seasons.
thinking this is Dragon Prince. This is epic. Season 3 left off so grand, and with such great cliffhanger. And this is what we got. This is what we waited years for.
Well, I only waited like 3 months, but that's
was-
fine.
Yeah, you only had just started watching the show.
Yeah.
But for
I
me,
literally,
I've been
I
sitting
finished the
there
season
waiting
when
so
it's...
long.
Yeah, I can't even
And this is
imagine.
what they came up with.
Yeah, you guys is disappointed. Like, I feel bad for the people. Like, for me, I finished the last episode, and on the day they announced season 4 was coming out. So I did not have that long of a wait. So I feel really sorry for all the people who, like, who actually did wait like, my brother waited it. Actually, my brother's one of the people who liked it. Because I had, like, I needed...
a lot of it, but
Yeah, I had to rant with him, and he's, like, sitting there defending it. And I think he got to the point where, like, I guess maybe I was making some sense, and so he stopped fighting, and when he can't win an argument, he kind of just starts ignoring you. So I ended up just ending that conversation. But, yeah, I was like... Yeah, so he liked the show, and I'm like, yeah, the plot was okay. The world is still amazing. I still love the world. But... I'm such a character-driven story watcher and, like, reader. Like, you could have the dullest plot in the world. It probably comes from me reading Victorian novels, to be honest. There's no plot in a good Victorian novel, but the characters are always on point. Like, it's all about characters. And so I grew up reading that. Like, that's my favorite thing. So I'm very heavily, like, invested in characters. If your characters are good, I'll love your show, no matter how trashy the plot is. So sitting here, it's kind of like there's a Marvel show that came, The Eternals. Everyone hates it because the plot's trash, and I agree, but the characters are great, and so I love the Eternals movie. And that's just kind of how it works.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard
I like
that
the characters.
Eternals had a problem of too many characters.
It does, but I love them all.
Oh, so they
I want a
actually
TV
had
show.
time to develop all these characters?
They did it so, considering how little time, like, I have respect for how little time they managed to, like, flesh them out half decently. Like, with that, I am 100% agreement with everyone. It would have been better as a TV show. Let me agree. Like, I agree with the census that it should have been a Disney Plus original. But, for the time they had, I like all the characters. I'm excited that a second one got approved and we're gonna get a second Eternals. But that's off topic.
Yeah, so overall, season 4 of Dragon Prince, not outright
No.
bad, but not... It's so disappointing. Like,
It's
that is the
disappointing.
best word to describe season 4, is it's just disappointing.
I think
It was
I'll still watch season 5. But I just wish that I needed to watch season 4 to get invested in season 5. I'm
But
telling
got
you.
the coins. That's something important that happened.
She got
In
the
entirety of
coins.
Season 4, where we got coins. Coins.
Got
This
the-
is what the entire plot of season 4 has been building up to: is Rayla obtaining the coin.
Yeah.
That is the entire.
They didn't build that up at all. Like, out of curiosity, when did Claudia get those? That's what I want to know. You raiding your dead dad's body?
I mean, she was spending a lot of time fixing it, so probably.
She looted her dad's body. Again, good scene for, like, her figuring out what those are. Season. Like, she found that. I'm curious about that. Claudia found these coins on her dad's body, and it clicks what her dad's been doing. Nothing? No, like, comment for the dad? Hey, why are you... Because, again, the whole thing about Claudia is that she's a good person doing the wrong things for the right reasons.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're
Yeah.
right. This is awful. This is
Yeah.
way out of character for her.
She would not be okay with
She should be wanting
this.
to free these people.
She would. Why?
What the heck?
If anything,
What
she...
the heck, Claudia? Like,
Yeah, if anything, she would have been,
awful.
like, wanting to give it... Like, I would have preferred, like, they meet up and this whole epic thing happens and she, like, frees the boy... And she's the one who decides, I'm gonna give this to her. Like, she throws it and like, she catches them and she's real. And then she looks at her and is like, to be honest, I just didn't want them to fall in lava. Here's the real ones. and then throws it to her. And, like, her just being, like, genuinely, she's like, I didn't know if you were going to catch those. And I didn't want them to burn. And then gives them the real one. Like, for one, that's, like, a little comedy in the midst of, like, this very impactful moment. And then that's really big for her instead of giving it to her boyfriend. But, yeah, it should have been Claudia's decision, not the boyfriend's. I agree.
This could have been
I've changed my
massive character moment. This could have been so interesting and really well done.
And instilled in the moment. This
is actually really bad. This gets really worse. I didn't even realize that this part of her and how out of character it is. But no, this is very out of character for her.
Yeah.
What the?
And I think it's supposed to be, and that's like why her boyfriend points it out. Like, hey, this is out of character for you. Like, I've seen you do horrible things.
For it to be out of character for her because she doesn't actually have this super big gripe with Rayla, and which they could have because Rayla is now dating Callum and everything,
and also she hunted her for 2 years. That would have created tension.
We don't get that.
We need the missing season.
Claudia didn't even know she was being hunted, and she says she doesn't even care about Callum anymore.
Clearly,
she shouldn't care about Rayla, and like. There's so much not caring where there should be caring. Like, the characters no longer feel like they're connected. It used to be like all the characters are connected and all these different relationships and everything, and there's constant
no, but now it's definitely there's good guys and there's bad guys.
Yes, it's like there's good guys, there's bad guys, there's no relation to them, they don't have any deep connection.
There's no in-between. Nothing. I liked the in-between. I like gray stuff. It's delicious.
But there's no gray stuff anymore.
Where's the gray stuff? It's delicious. Beauty and the Beast reference. Couldn't resist, guys. I'm sorry.
No.
We walked into it.
The mushy brown stuff. The mushy brown stuff is delicious.
No, it's the gray stuff. Try the gray stuff. It's delicious. That's how the song goes.
What? I was thinking of the tarts.
No, I'm talking about the song from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I was thinking
Be our guest.
Mushy brown tart. Yeah.
No, be our guest. Try the gray stuff. It's delicious.
Yes, I completely forgot about that.
I made such a great pun, and it went woo over your head.
Yep. I was just thinking of the brown tarts from Dragon Prince.
No. I'm making a cross.
Ezra never even got to eat the tarts.
She really didn't. I didn't mind.
A special gift for him, and he didn't even get to try one.
Honestly, I appreciated the tart plot. I was kidding. I was like, I'm good with this. Like, the guy being like, this is just stuff, and it's important to you, it's not important to me. And I'm like, you know what? Like, valid. How often do we give gifts that are, like, important to us and to people? And then what do they do with it? Nothing. Like, we should be giving more gifts that are important to the person we're giving the gift to. I agree. Good message, Dragon.
We should be giving more food.
That too.
More food as gifts.
Yeah, well, we have to be careful. There's a lot of allergies out in the world nowadays.
That's true.
Don't want to kill anyone accidentally. But yeah, no, I was like, you know what? That's a weird little side message to give us, but I like it. I do wish, like, episodes were almost message themed, because I do feel like I've got one of the feelings that came out of the show is, like, I felt preached to, but I can't tell you for the life of me what they preached. Yeah, because it just...
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, was that, so you have the camp, right, which we just agreed was a great story plot and kind of left it alone. Yes. But the thing about it is it's poorly connected to the main storyline. There's no connections.
It doesn't feel like there's any impact.
And I would be okay with, like, I'm okay with, like, there not being actual impacts, like, this is just the side plot in a glimpse of a world with characters that we were invested with in the first 3 seasons. That's fine. But what has to happen if you do that is that the, like, this is a kid's show. We have to keep that in mind. The moral themes of this camp...
This is a kid's show. There's a lot of blood.
There was, but it's Y7.
It's what?
I thought, isn't it? Is this not a kid's show and I'm just mistaken? Either way, what they still need to do...
I'm checking this.
Yeah, go ahead. I thought it was Y7. My little brother's watching it. But, so what needs to happen is that, like, whatever moral message is going on in the side thing has to match up or reinforce what's happening in the main plot. Like, that's just good basic writing. Especially in a show like this, which is very moral driven, which I normally they've been doing a pretty good job of. So that's... But they didn't. Like, they had their moral lesson. These guys had their moral lesson. Actually, they didn't really have much of a moral lesson going. And they never connected in any way. So I felt like I enjoyed the subplot, but it had absolutely nothing. Not in, like, cementing the morals taught in the main plot, not in driving the main plot forward anyway. There was just no connection between this story and that story, which made the subplot absolutely pointless to the main story and therefore shouldn't have existed. But at the same time, I'm glad it existed because it was my favorite part of the show.
Okay, I just checked. Yeah.
It's Y7, isn't it?
It's Y7.
It's a kid's show. Fun fact, guys.
Y7.
This
I'm not. No. Since when does Y7? The only show I could think of that has ever had like blood and stuff like in it that's been Y7 has been Gravity Falls. But Gravity Falls very often like it didn't really have much in terms of blood actually coming from a character. Unless it was, like, recolored to be green to make it more family-friendly, because that works for some reason.
I don't understand it either.
This is Y7?
Yeah.
How?
I wasn't lying. Anyways, like I said, this is a kid show, and in kid shows, you want your side plot, especially if it's not connected to the main story, to be connected via theme, and it wasn't, which meant that I was getting a lot of messages in each episode, and felt very overwhelmed, and at the end of the day, felt like I didn't gain much, except the present one, but that's just because it was cleverly done, and I enjoyed it. And I got like 2 messages. I got that one from the main story, the present thing, and then from the side story, the whole plot with the candle and stuff, which was really well done. I got the message from that pretty well, but I a lot of times I felt like there were like a lot of messages being thrown at me and nothing to really connect and cement any of them. So it's kind of in one ear and out the other. And for a kid, that's especially so. So if you're trying to like instill morals and like give characters you can look up to, the show's epically failing because it's just too much.
Yeah, again, like, the best way to describe this season was just disappointing. Like, it had some good humor, it had some interesting character moments, it had some good side plots, like, again, with the candle and everything.
Yeah.
But the overall main plot and the main characters was a lot of nothing. And it was a lot of the frustration, I think, just comes from the fact that they were talking about all the stuff that happened off screen, and all that off-screen stuff sounds more interesting than the story we did get.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, I'm sitting here going, wait, there was this entire plot with Claudia going on this adventure and Rayla's hunting her and everything. Can we get that story instead?
Yeah. To be honest, I've never had to, like, rant about a series as much as I had to, like, rant about this season. Like, it just fired up in something in me about, like, I haven't been so upset about, like, a series since I finished the Divergent series.
I have been waiting years for this season. And
yeah.
Like, again, I loved seasons 1 through 3, and season 3, even if, like you said, it didn't focus too much on characters, the plot was just
good plot. It was very good plot.
Epic.
I agree.
And then we get Soren flossing and fart jokes. That's what it was replaced by. That's what came next. And then we're told about this other plot that sounds way more interesting, and I'm just repeating myself at this point. It's so disappointing.
It is, and I've ranted to so many people, like, people are sick of me talking about Dragon Prince, but I'm like, it's so bad, I have to talk about it. It's like,
yeah, I mean, again, it has some good elements.
It does.
So I can't call it outright bad.
No, yeah.
But
it did its characters dirty. It did its characters dirty, and I'm attached to these characters from season 1 and 2. I'm like, can we? And so, like, I'm just so sad. And I'm hoping they can recover. They haven't gone too far. I said this about season 3, but they can recover from this. Season 5, they can do some backpedaling. They can give us the flashbacks. They could give us the missing season. They could actually be like, oh, maybe we should actually spend time in character growth. And we'll be okay, and they can come back. But it's going to be harder, and the more they do this, it's just going to get harder. And honestly, if season 5 is like season 4, I'm quitting. It won't be worth it.
So there is one other thing that stood out to me.
All right, and then
I
I'll
want
end.
to mention before we close off. So, yip.
Honestly, I appreciated it.
I have mixed feelings about because I was
respect
going,
it.
I get it. I love
I
it.
respect
it's a great
it.
reference. But at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, in world, this makes no sense.
And you know what? I was okay with it. Okay, look,
when Sokka did it. Just like when Sokka did it, he was guessing. He memory, and Appa's trained to respond to yip yip. It makes sense in world. Here, when Soren does it, there is no in-world reason given as to why this dragon would respond to yip yip.
Okay,
or as to
okay.
why Soren would guess yip yip.
Okay,
after saying,
Isaac.
go, yeah.
Isaac. Occasionally, just occasionally, there are times where like a plot thing happens and you know it's just okay. It's okay with this is like the writer gods rained down and made a reference, and they've never really made much references. Like they've made a few, and like the boomerang was one.
Boomerang was good.
Yeah,
that was a good reference. That was a good way to do it. It was really clever because Sokka was all about boomerangs, and then Callum sees this thing that looks like a boomerang, and Callum is voiced by the same guy who voiced Sokka. It's written by the same people. It makes sense when he says boomerangs. It's so subtle and it's such an inside joke. It's hilarious, but here with the yip yip, it doesn't fit in world, and it bothers me. But at the same time, again, I have mixed feelings about it because I get the reference. It's a fun little reference, and it's not show breaking or anything.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of okay with it being in there because it's so funny, and I did have an moment, that's great moment. But at the same time, again, I had mixed feelings where I'm also going, this makes no sense.
And honestly, I think
mix of emotions.
I think it's just because we're like character growth, and like because the season was so disappointing. The fact that this was like our one lighthearted, like, oh, that was good, and then you realize, like, wait, that's sad that that's a good part of the show.
Yeah, that might be part of it.
I think that's it.
So much of it was disappointing, and this one good thing,
and it's a reference to another show. Yeah, I think that like if the rest of the series was good, I don't think you'd be complaining about this. Like if you had enjoyed the whole series,
probably not. No.
You we probably wouldn't be talking about. Well, we might have. It was a pretty blatant reference, but we'd be talking about like, oh, and then they did like if we had an overall positive experience, we'd be like, oh, and then they did like the yip yip reference, and that was kind of cute and clever and fun, and then we'd move on. But since we are talking about the show in a more negative light, we're going to talk about it in a more negative light because we're, like, tainted.
Yeah, and again, like, it's not totally bad. I have mixed feelings about it, but...
Don't make it normal.
I gotta tell what those mixed feelings are.
No, yeah, voice them. No, I understand having mixed feelings.
This season was a big oof.
Yeah.
And I mean, this one part, that's a very small part of it. But yeah. Like very small.
But you know, we're also a place of open communication, and I'm interested to hear what other people think about it. Because someone responded to the little community post we put in and said they loved it. So I would love to know why you loved it, and like what are we missing? What's something we missed? My brother talked a lot about plot when I was talking to him about the show and how it was pretty good. And he did make me realize that plot-wise, it was a pretty okay plot. I don't think it was grand, but I agree it was a pretty good plot. And like I said, the whole sub thing with the tent village was great too. So, you know, let us know what some positives are, or if you agree with us, what the negatives were. You know, our comment section's a great place to rant. We can all rant together.
Oh, also be sure to sign my petition for the creation of the spin-off series titled The Lost Season.
Yes.
Because I want to see that.
I do too. I want this so freaking bad. I think it would fix everything. It would fix a lot of things. It can't fix completely season 4, but it could fix a lot. It could fix a good chunk of it. Yeah, I agree. But this is all the time we had for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week with something we haven't done in a long time, which is building a world. Actually exploring a world.
Instead of not a joke world like monkeys and tooth fairies making it, just torturing humans.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll see you next week for that. Bye.